So the journey to becoming an OBGYN was interesting. So actually I thought I wanted to be a doctor from the time I was like 3 and kind of just planned on that until about 7th grade. And then I thought I'd be a truck driver, but that isn't my thing. So I went to school. I thought maybe I'd do veterinary medicine. Didn't really enjoy that. Worked for a vet for a while. And so finally decided, you know what? I was meant to be. I'm going to go to med school, went into med school, and thought for sure I was going to be a family doctor, a family medicine doctor, and do OB. That was my goal from the time I started college. And then I did a few rotations in family medicine, and it was honestly kind of miserable. And I love that people do it, but it's not my thing. It's just not for me. And so I looked around and said, what do I enjoy? And I really actually enjoy surgery. It's one of my favorite things to do, is doing surgery. I love delivering babies, but surgery is still probably my preference sometimes. And so I actually thought I'd be a general surgeon. I actually put thought into that and said, okay, I could do general surgery. However, general surgery back then is not like general surgery now. And we did a lot of 8-hour bowel cases and in a medical school, and I'm like, ugh, this is not my thing. What I discovered is I actually really enjoyed hysterectomies as far as surgery goes. And our general surgeons at the time were actually doing those in the town that I was doing my 3rd and 4th year for med school. So then I said, okay, so I love delivering babies. I enjoy female surgery. Obviously, I need to be an OBGYN. And so that's how I got to be there. The other thing I really enjoy about being an OBGYN is you do kind of get to know your patients, because you do also some primary care, annual type care, you know, just taking care of the whole person. From pretty much the time that they hit about 15 or so, they can come see us. And so you get to kind of really know them, get to know their families. I love watching the kids grow up. You know, it's fun to deliver babies and then see them when they're 2 or 3. The next time they come in again having another baby, it's fun to watch them grow up like that. So there's a lot of things that are really pretty amazing about being an OBGYN. Plus I get to do deliveries and surgery. So it's perfect. So I graduated from residency in 2007. So I did a full year of internship, and about 6 months of that was an OBGYN training, and then 4 full years of residency. And then I moved to Montana. I did worked 3 years there as an OBGYN. And I've been here almost 9. I was figuring that out the other day. Almost 9. On March 8th, I'll have been here 9 years. I do average out probably now about 100 deliveries a year, give or take. But with including residency, definitely over 1,000. I actually stopped counting in residency after about 400. I'm like, okay, I'm not counting anymore. So, but I've done quite a few actually. And it's been great. Probably the reason I knew that this was the right field for me was actually in med school. In med school, I worked in a small hospital, actually not a whole lot bigger than ours here. We had similar types of physicians. And so because I was in a small hospital, everyone knew I kind of liked to do surgery, and they knew I liked to do OB. So if there was something, you know, going on and I happened to be on the med floor and there wasn't much going on the med floor, they would call and say, hey, you want to come do this C-section? Or hey, you want to come up here and, you know, be in on this delivery? And so about halfway through my 3rd year or so, one of the nurses called and said, hey, you want to come up here? There's a patient in labor and the doc's not here yet. And so I got to deliver my first baby with the nurse's help, of course, in my 3rd year. And I didn't feel stressed about it. Like I had done enough of them with the docs that I felt like really comfortable. And it just felt right. It just felt like, I know what I'm doing. This is going to be fine. And so I figured that was probably a pretty good sign that this was what I was supposed to do. So I'm an Air Force brat, actually. I was born in Hawaii, and then we lived in Montana for a short time. I don't remember that part. I don't remember Hawaii. Then we lived actually in Florida for a while and hated that. And then we moved back to Montana, and that's kind of where I consider home, because it's where I lived the longest point up to that point. And so we lived in Great Falls, Montana. And it's big compared to here, but it's not big like LA or something like that. So we felt pretty comfortable in the more kind of rural country area. And then I went to actually med school in Kirksville, Missouri, which is also a small town, actually about very similar size to the Grande. Has a college there and a med school, strangely enough. So we really enjoy that size of town. And then after that, we did go to Lansing, Michigan for residency. And I don't really like big cities. And Lansing isn't, by most people's standards, a big city. But for me, plenty big. Did a few rotations in Detroit. Hated that. Never want to do that again. Traffic's ridiculous. So when we went back after residency, we went back to Montana, back to hometown, and we were fine there. It just there was some stressors in the job, and my partners all decided to go to the hospital, and I didn't want to go to the hospital because I don't want to work for a big hospital. And so that's the time we started looking for a new job, just because we felt like it was not where we needed to be right then, even though all our family was there. And so when we interviewed here, we kind of took I'm not going to lie, we kind of took the interview like, well, why not? You know, let's go see what it's like. Not thinking at all that we would like La Grande, Oregon. But honestly, when we drove into town, we went, it's not bad here. We could live here, you know. And it was really, it was kind of that feeling of like, yeah, this could be home. And so we have very similar views where we came from. In Montana, you could see the mountains. We were kind of in the valley, but you could see the mountains. And, you know, you get all your 4 seasons sometimes. Sometimes you miss summer a little bit. But so we felt really at peace with that. One of the things that made me laugh, though, is because when I came here to interview, and we had some great people to interview with, and it made us all very feel comfortable and everything. I remembered it was like nobody mentioned the wind. So it was like nobody wanted to talk about the wind. And so when I accepted it, because we're like, yeah, we're happy here. The hospital is a great program. We were happy with the program. So when we came here, and the first couple times I was working here, the wind started picking up, and everyone's like, we didn't want to tell you about the wind because we wanted you to come. And I'm like, I'm from Great Falls, Montana. It's one of the windiest places in the world. So for us, it's like home. It's like, it really does feel like home. The nice thing about here compared to home is at home it's 40 below right now, and here it's not that cold. So we get a lot of the great things about being in a smaller town, in the climate we like to be in, with the type of people that we like to be around, farmers and ranchers and educators and all these people that's kind of who we grew up with. And so it's been really kind of like we just came home. It's just at a different spot, and it's warmer, so it's all good.